Today we will commence the consideration of the estimates for the Office of the President, the various service commissions, including, of course, the Ghana Elections Commission, the Ghana Defense Force, the Office of the Ombudsman, which we welcome, the Public Service Appellate Tribunal, the Office of the Prime Minister, the Parliament Office, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Legal Affairs, which include, of course, the Supreme Court, and we expect that the Honourable Minister of Finance will make the requisite announcement regarding the Supreme Court. And we will, I believe and I hope, will carry as far as ourselves as far as the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. In that way, we will finish, as I anticipated, tomorrow. So we will resolve immediately the Committee of Supply to begin consideration of the estimates. I invite you, honourable members, to turn your attention to pages 32 and 33 of your Volume 1, as I propose your consideration Program 01111. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Honorable members. 6116 employees. Notice that there have been a reduction to 48 million this year against last year's amount of $53+ million. With the increase in wages that we have held, could you say what is the reason for more being given to less? Or less being given to more?
Mr. Chairman, last year we paid the staff of the Commissioner of Maintenance. From here, they have since gone over to a subvention.
Mr. Scott.
In term 62331, there's been an increase in fuel and lubricants. Could you explain the reason for that increase and how is it broken down?
Mr. Chairman, the increase cases for 5 new vehicles that were procured in the last quarter of 2013 and 6 new vehicles that were procured in 2014.
6281 security services. Which security services of the President? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, Brand Security Service and the MSO Security Service.
There was a reduction from an estimate of 48 million down to 13 million for that service. And then again, for 2014, there is a projection to pay 2014. Is that the standard that is retained to them for this year?
In last year's estimates, we catered for the ICT program. In this year,
6321 subsidies to local organizations. There has been an increase from 7 $92 plus million, 847 plus million dollars. How do you justify this increase, and could you say how you are planning to apportion that money?
Mr. Chairman, this is largely through to the subvention that will be given to the Office of the Commissioner of Information. Will run the operation.
Commissioner who?
Commissioner of Information.
That is $22 million payment, right?
I didn't hear you.
How much payment? How is it broken down? $22 million payment?
Just 1 second. Is the money being allocated for the office or for the person?
Office.
So that increase is only for that officer? Is that is there a portion?
Mr. Chairman, it is stated in the estimates, page 402, the total being 21,536,594, and it is basically salaries and benefits, employment costs.
So on that same subsidies you have office presidential guard, we have $254.5 million, right?
Mr. Chairman, if the honorable gentleman could speak up so I can hear the question.
Okay, the money that has been set aside for the office, the presidential guard service, Auditor General report of last year has highlighted that 2011 and 2012 have said that this office should not be placed under local organization, but should have its own agency so that it can have a representative to Parliament. Could you say what is the reason why it is still placed under local organizations? I noticed that Castellani House has been removed, but this regard service has remained. Could you say how come, why, and what are your intentions in terms of removal in compliance with the requests of the Auditor General? It's very clear.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is the Presidential Guard Service that we talk about, sir. And as far as I'm aware, that decision is to be determined by the Defense Board on the Defense Act. And I would await that decision and disclosures coming from that level.
And the general response that you gave, or the ministry gave, was that the administration is still a written response from the Ministry of Finance to make that final removal of the decision as it did with Castellani office. So it is not a question of that organization which we just mentioned. So there is a policy that to move and place as an agency to be accountable. Could you please say when it is done?
Mr. Chairman, I'm aware that there has been an exchange of correspondence from the Office of the President to the Ministry of Finance, but that is awaiting a policy decision because, like I said, this needs to be determined by the Defense Board.
Honorable Member Lieutenant Colonel Harman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, on 6284 order, there is an increase, a modest increase from 66 million to 69 million here. But in the 2013 budget, we budgeted for 245 million. Could the honorable member explain the variations? Why did he budget 245 in 2013 and spent 66? And could you indicate what are the items that you are paying for under this head of order?
Mr. Chairman, last year the budgeted allocation catered for the ICT program, and that was responsible for the amount. On the 6284, sorry, we paid for things like the official gazette, chemicals to the swimming pool, repairs to office furniture, consultancy fees, things of that nature.
Follow up, sir. In fact, the Honorable Minister hasn't answered my question. You budgeted for 245 million and you spent 66 million. Whatever, you actually spent less than you budgeted for. What is the reason for that? 180 something million dollars.
Mr. Chairman, last year out of this 245, 178 million was directly for the ICT program, which we were anticipating to have advanced and we were creating some links and the rest of it, which was not.
Was what, sir?
The expenditure was not incurred.
Honorable Member Ms. Barbigan and then come Mr. Baswell, sir, Honorable Member.
No, my question.
I recognize Honorable Member Ms. Ferguson. And then
Mr. Chairman, my question has been answered.
I recognize Honorable Member Mr. Joe.
Thank you, Governor Chairman. Line item 6.3.1, subsidies to local organization. So I noted the Government Information News Agency and the National Communications Network, NCN, that last year it was budgeted different amount, varied from 83,347,000 for NCN and 135,858. I can recall this House, sir, voted this amount to $1, but I can see on the revised that it was since spent. Could the Honourable Minister explain?
Mr. Chairman, we relied and were guided by the Chief Justice's ruling.
I recognize Mr. Honorable Member Mr. Morian. And then Mr. Curtis. Mr. Curtis, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on item 6.2.1, the subject to what Mr. Jones just referred, I believe that we are in these items by a constitution which specifically authorizes.
Mr. Chairman, if we could have the member to speak up, we're not hearing.
Okay, sorry. I'm saying that in relation to these items of expenditure, we are guided by the Constitution, which requires the National Assembly specifically to approve expenditure from the consolidated fund. I'm not aware that in the Chief Justice's decision anywhere, he has appropriated for himself authorization to spend. He cannot himself, as far as I'm aware, authorize the House to spend any monies whatsoever. And if the House has acted wrongly, perhaps in cutting an expenditure, it does not authorize, and his decision cannot authorize anybody else to spend. So who exactly is authorizing and has been authorizing the ministers to spend in which article of the Constitution?
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, consequent upon the ruling of the Chief Justice, Cabinet requested the Attorney General to prepare an opinion on whether or not the cuts which were effected to the national estimates could have been restored. The Attorney General advised that pursuant to Article 18.3 of the Constitution, where there is an insufficiency of budgetary allocation or where there has been no budgetary allocation for whatever reason, the Minister of Finance can do one of two things. He can come to the Parliament with a supplementary provision seeking the imprimatur of the National Assembly for permission to use monies from the Consolidated Fund, or alternatively, he can use money from the Consolidated Fund and submit to the National Assembly ex post facto a statement of excesses detailing how those monies have been spent. I am aware that that statement of excess has been presented in relation to wherever there was a restoration of the monies cut out of the national estimate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am not aware that statements of excess or the contingencies fund can be utilized unconditionally by the executive. Nowhere does the Constitution say that expenditures from the consolidated fund may be effected in circumstances other than by approval of the House unconditionally. And as far as I'm aware, therefore, the basis for this expenditure still remains to be explained. As regards the expenditures that the government may carry out in circumstances other than, or that is ex post, it is conditional on matters being urgent, and there are other conditions notwithstanding the interpretation by the Chief Justice. I am not aware that salaries can, under any circumstances, 9 months after they've been due, be regarded as matters that are urgent. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable members, we are not about to have a debate on this. We are considering the estimates. The opinions have been given of the opposition and of the government. But for us to enter in the whole debate, I don't see how it's either we approve of the sums or we don't approve of the sums.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, if you majority.
Yes.
Sir, there's no provision in our Constitution that says the executive could breach the decision of this House. The funds that were cut by this House.
Yes, Mr. Williams, but we are meeting.
There's nowhere in the Constitution
that may be so, but Mr. Williams, we accept that, but what we're doing is approving sums of this year.
We understand it, and the Speaker has to put on the Hansard,
Yes,
to show that the Honorable Attorney General is incorrect.
Mr. Bridge has made the case very well, and he has noted. Mr. Bridge, I'm really
I'm not entering a debate. I want to draw matter to your attention.
Yes, please,
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we are dealing with the Agency Office of the President, Program 011.
Yeah.
And under
011, sorry.
Yes, and more specifically with the item 01, under which these two items that have been raised fall. I wish to draw to your notice at this point in time that given the unconstitutional action by the government, given the fact that a figure is shown in these estimates which was not approved by the House, we are not going to approve this item at all. And if that has consequences for the approval of the head as a whole, so let it be. Mr. Speaker, you need to take that into attention when you are putting to the House whether or not it approves the item.
I recognize Mr. Scott's review.
Would the Honourable Minister state how much income Gina derived from placing, and that would be for 2012, 2013. It's the same line item, 6321.
Mr. Chair, I'm probably between a rock and a hard place in answering. Operates and plays ads on behalf of the government, of the president. And it's not a commercial making entity.
I think as a standard, it would derive a commission payment of 50%. So what would be the income, the value of the income?
Of course, not being shot.
Mr. Chairman, there needs to be a clear distinction. GIA is the government's information use agency, which is an agency that operates on behalf of the president and the office of the president. NCN is a totally different matter. In their marketing and all the rest of it, they are allowed to generate income and the rest of it. But GIA operates at a different level.
Okay, clarification. Are you saying, Minister, that all advertising for GINA placed in the local media is in fact placed through NCN? No, it's a genuine question I have.
Mr. Chairman, the honorable member is asking if it's only through NCN. Public advertisement notices in print and in electronic media on NCN and outside of NCN and other agencies.
Does GINA therefore receive a commission on that payment, or are you saying that it does not receive a commission on that payment? Generally, anybody, any agency placing an ad would receive a 15% commission from any media outlets. No longer do that, or it stopped, or ever did.
Madam, Mr. Chairman, I'm advised that GINA is prepared to provide a statement on this matter by tomorrow, on all of those transactions, to help you see exactly how they are.
Does that mean that it does collect a commission, but you don't have access to the information now?
Mr. Chairman, I'm advised that the information could be made available within an hour. I'm advising the information could be made within an hour. The head of GINA is prepared to get and review the figures and
Could the Honorable Minister say how many staff make up GINA, how many people work with GINA, and also what locations they are located in?
Mr. Chairman, there are 39 staff members at GINA currently, and they are operating and deployed from GINA headquarters, Georgia.
Could the minister provide for us as sort of an executive summary as to what this $135 million last year went towards, and what the proposed 139 will go towards this year, if it's possible?
Mr. Chair, if I'm hearing the honourable member correctly, we'd like to know what was last year's breakdown and this year's breakdown.
In written form, could you give me that?
But I'll read it out and then I'll still give it to you. For last year, total wages and salaries, $77,835,000. For 2014, we're asking for $79,634,000, and I guess you'll be aware this gives us a 5% increase. As it relates to other charges, a total of $58,024,000. This year, we're asking for $60,167,000. A breakdown of that would include materials, equipment, and supplies, $16,224,000 last year. This year, we're asking for $17,222,000. As it relates to fuel and lubricants, last year it was $5,392,000. This year we're requesting the same amount. As it relates to rental and maintenance of buildings, $4,849,000, we're asking for the same amount this year. As it relates to travel, transport and postage, last year we asked for $10,663,000. This year we're asking for $11,808,000. Utility charges, total of $6,785,000, and we're asking for the same amount in 2014, which will be both telephone, electricity, and water. Security services, $4,001,000, the same amount being asked for this year. All operating expenses, which would include national events, refreshment and meals, cover exhibitions across the country, and the staff working extra hours, $8,467,000. The same amount is being sought in 2014. Education, subvention training, $495,000, and the same amount is being sought this year. Thank you.
Minister, could you say when the last audit of Gina's assets might have been done? And if this house could be given a copy?
Mr. Chairman, the last audit report, 2004 to 2007 was the last produced audited report, and auditors are presently working on 2008. That's the audit.
Would the minister be able to advise us as to how we would explain, or how would we be able to verify the money spent in the last 2 years? Because I know you're purchasing, you've got a list of different things you're purchasing, but if you don't have the up-to-date reports, do you have an inventory? How would we be able to verify those purchases?
Mr. Chairman,
and where the assets would be located to, of course.
While I've indicated that 2004 to 2007 was the last set of reports completed, and we're presently working on 2008, all the financial reports have already been submitted to the Auditor General's office.
I'm a member of Ms. Garrido.
In relation to the National Communication Network, Mr. Minister, it would appear that that one earns money. Could you tell us how much it earned in 2013?
Ready figure.
Mr. Chairman, last year NCN earned $476,655,732. And when you add the subvention that it received from the government, the total will be $557 million.
1 million subvention.
Could you,
100 million.
similarly say, what was the staff strength at NCN?
300 or something. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, the total staff strength of NCN in total is 236. 177 are permanent staff, and 59 are temporary workers, people who do special programs on short contracts, whether it's radio or television, 59.
There was a report out of NCN called the Parmesan's report. And we understand that there was some irregularities, to put it mildly. Could you say what's the status of that?
They don't know.
In relation to some staff matters?
They don't know Gina getting what. He got consulted. You remember how they doing it telling you?
Mr. Chairman, I conferred with the relevant people because I want to be factual and given up-to-date status. I'm advised that this matter was discussed at the last board meeting of NCN for determination by the board.
Members, I believe I can answer the question, and that is that we approve the sum stated for Agency 01 Office of the President, Administrative Services. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against? No. Division is solved.